Ladies and gentlemen, today we are gonna do another, I would call it a theory video, but I don't really know if it would be I don't know. It's weird. Could we survive The Walking Dead? And I got to thinking, cause as you guys who've watched any of my previous Walking Dead, videos and theories, I've watched pretty much all of them. Actually, yeah, I have watched all of them. I've watched the side stories. I've watched all of them. And in the video, in Fear, um, there's that big old riot slash protest going on because the government, told everyone to stay indoors for their own safety. And everyone was saying, friends at school and, like people on the internet was saying, oh, that's super unrealistic. Something like that. People would definitely stay indoors. Why would you want to go outside in something like this? It's guaranteed there's a 50% chance you're going to die. And it got me thinking, where have I heard that before? Within the last, I don't know, 4 fucking years? You see, people saying, oh, no, in real life that would never happen. No one would ever be that dumb to riot because the government told you to stay indoors because of your own safety. Um, Sorry to pop your bubble. Yes, they have. If you remember, a few years ago, there was lots of protests involving people. So, I would have got to saying, if some, dude, who, would have stayed inside like the government told him to, he would have never got offed by a cop. Therefore, the protests would have never happened, and I'm not allowed to say that word on YouTube. The big C would have never spread as fast and hard as it did. Because, oh no, 40% of all protesters ended up getting it. So, yeah, if someone would have followed the rules, this is sounding super racist and stuff, but yeah. So people are that dumb. So, yes, I agree how the show went about how it would, because it reflects on reality. People are that dumb. People would riot and protest over something like that. As a matter of fact, I think people would protest over zombie lives matter. That's how dumb I think society has fallen. So, yeah. If people would have actually listened to what their local governments was telling them, and because the thing is the state I'm living in, if you got pulled over and you didn't have your essential sheet, that's basically saying you're allowed to leave the house because you're an essential worker, you got a $600 ticket. And in my state, if you don't pay tickets, you go to jail. Yeah, you can go to jail for unpaid parking tickets too. So, yeah, we're a little bit off topic. Well, anyway, would we survive? I was thinking of the betterment was going, yeah, I mean, I maybe I could, I would most likely, get past the initial outbreak because, family, friends, shit like that. So, yeah, I think we would be good. And, I'm not what we would call a prepper, but, I have, what's too big to call a to-go bag. I literally have like, my closet is literally just stuffed. Like, all my shelves in my closet, I have 2 shelves. They're both stuffed with survival gear and weapons. So, yes, I think I could survive the initial outbreak. Other people, on the other hand, because of how society works and how people react to how the government tells them to, I think, yeah. So, yeah, So they're saying, oh yeah, it spread, it swept across the U.S. within days. Well, with people protesting, I could see why. The whole, for your own safety, stay indoors at all costs. And then all of a sudden you're calling your president, you know, he's a dictator for telling you to stay indoors for your own safety. And then people protest because of it. And then, you know, the virus spreads because, like this. And then, yeah. So, they depicted it. And, like, even I think what was it? I watched a few videos about people saying, "Oh yeah, it would something like that would never spread that fast." Um, Considering what I've seen, you know, IRL equivalents of the big C, yes, it would spread that fast because people are that dumb to go outside. So, yeah. Would we survive? No. Would I survive? For a while. I'm not really good at hunting and gathering. That's probably what my downfall would be because I actually have only 2 survival books, which I have no idea where they went. Oh, yeah, found them. I pointed up at there on my case. But yeah, I I would need, obviously I would need more training, but yeah, the initial passed. I have, if it's just me, I would, I have enough food, MREs and stuff to last me. Um, I'm gonna say half a month. No, more. Because I literally have a duffel bag filled with MREs. And then I also have a 48-hour meal kit for 5 or 4. I have one of those family buckets that you would cook for your family that is supposed to last, I think, two like a 3-day bucket for like 4 or 5 people. However, if you ration it, it would, like this. So, yeah, I have at least, I'm going to say, 18 days. Just me. However, if I ration, like if I only eat one thing a day, I'm going to say I could double it. Or at least push it to, because what I'm counting is breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So if it gets to the point where I have to eat one thing a day, well, like that. So, hold on. One thing a day. That would be 3 times longer. So that would be 18 times 3. Hold on, I'm pulling out my calculator. If I were to ration it, eating only 1 meal a day, I would have 54 days of food. So, yeah. I would. However, most people would not. And this is just going what I have on, here. I'm not counting, food we have, in our food pantry and stuff like that. Like our, shelves, when we go, for dinner and stuff. Because, when we go shopping, we don't do the, how you say, when you go out, a lot of people do this, but when you go shopping, like if you do what's called daily food shopping, they say I don't know. It still comes out to pretty much the same price. But we do what we do like what's we do well here we do what we do like a weekly shop, like our stepmom will go out and do a weekly shop. However, and down south, or up here, my dad and my stepmom does the weekly shop. Well, down south, where I'm from, my stepdad does all the shopping. He does monthly shops. A shop. So basically, he spends enough money for a month of food. So I'm going to say, 28 days worth of food. That's just a shop. However, so, yeah. I don't know. Would we survive? Some more than others. For I just don't see other countries have more faith in their government. Like in the show, France stood for a long time. Britain stood for a very long time. It's just that America no longer has any faith in its government. It's because we are just so disunited, it's not funny. So, yeah, yeah. well, we wouldn't, yeah, so we wouldn't survive. Well, this is the end of the video. Um, you guys staring at my thing, so yeah. Well, see you guys. You know, another time.